Gran Turismo is one for the guys, and a movie that should definitely be seen in theaters. It's also the latest in surprisingly well-made video game adaptations to have come out in the last couple years. Between the success of the Sonic movies, the Super Mario Bros. Movie earning over $1 billion at the box office, and The Last of Us being mostly well-received, the truth is that we may in fact be entering a new era for movies and shows that are based on games. I mean, sure, there's still plenty of recent failures in the genre that we can point to, like Uncharted or Resident Evil.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But the adaptations that have maintained the integrity of the games they're based on, they've seen success in multiple ways recently. And even though Gran Turismo might be loosely based on a true story, it still manages to maintain the essence of the game that made the real-life events this movie is about possible. At its core, Gran Turismo is a sports underdog movie about a young man with a dream who has enough natural talent with Gran Turismo that it affords him the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to pursue becoming an actual Formula One driver. Basically, what you have is 2006's Invincible starring Mark Wahlberg mixed with Ford versus Ferrari here. An outsider competes in a professional sport they love thanks to a borderline insane marketing strategy employed by a desperate organization.
They're the same picture.
And it's got pretty much everything you've come to expect in the sports underdog genre. The rookie outsider facing scrutiny from veteran athletes, an over-the-top evil rival, the hard but fair coach who blew his own opportunity back in the day, the disapproving dad, the moment of doubt. At the same time, though, Gran Turismo has plenty of turns, no F1 pun intended. The great thing about a sports underdog movie, though, is that you can't really rely on the win. In fact, often the protagonists in these movies don't. Really, the heart of the movies are often about the characters and how they're responding to the adversity that they face in the first place. They made a fucking movie about it, so you can imagine that Jan doesn't just go out there and fall flat on his face. But even still, I wasn't sitting there thinking about the predictable tropes of the genre when I watched it. I just got entrenched in the events unfolding in front of me on screen, and personally, I think that's the best that any based on a true story movie can do. I'm not giving a detailed recap here because I genuinely think you should go out and see this movie while it's in theaters, but all you really need to know going into it is that it's about guys racing against each other at over 200 miles per hour.
Nice.
Gran Turismo manages to make that concept viable with a lot of action-packed racing sequences. It's the performances delivered by the lead actors, though, that really elevate this movie above your average video game or sports-focused blockbuster. Archie Madekwe delivers a strong performance as Jan Mardenborough. He comes across as confident, but not cocky in the fish-out-of-water role, doing his best to keep up with the quickly rising tide of the professional sport that he's jumped into. David Harbour steals the movie as Jan's coach, Jack Saltaire, a fictional character who was created for the story. He serves the role of hard-ass coach, pushing Jan to be his best, while at the same time seeking his own redemption in the world of F1. Harbour once again shows in this role just how dynamic he is by delivering some of Gran Turismo's funniest lines as well as one of its most heartfelt moments. Orlando Bloom makes a pleasant return for himself as the Nissan
Team Nissan.
motor executive Danny Moore, the ambitious suit looking to make a name for himself with a sensational marketing campaign. Bloom portrays Moore as a complicated, ambitiously flawed man, who even serves as an antagonist to Jan's racing ambitions at several points in the movie. He can't help but see Jan in terms of the risky investment he represents to Nissan, and therefore his own career, but more adds a welcome layer of tension to the group dynamic as Jan's doubtful supporter who's ultimately responsible for his racing career. It all works because Madekwe, Harbour, and Bloom play off each other really well individually and as a group, slowly forming the dysfunctional sort of family that you need in one of these movies as they go through triumphs and tribulations side by side.
Can you have tribulations by themselves? We really always have to be with trials.
Now, while calling Gran Turismo a straight-up video game adaptation would certainly be disingenuous, it's definitely a movie that doesn't shy away from its gamer roots. In fact, it incorporates them extremely well. The race car simulator aspect of Gran Turismo is front and center here, and it's really what sets it apart from your typical race car movie. In fact, it's used pretty well from the beginning of the movie, where they create a juxtaposition, imagining himself being in the race car while playing the simulator, to later on when he's in the actual race car being being able to visualize the data from the game while he's driving. It was a pretty clever way to illustrate the experience Jan gained playing Gran Turismo, where a lot of in real-life video game adaptations may barely incorporate the aesthetics of the games they're based on. Gran Turismo integrates them proudly. Really, one of my only critiques is that the storyline with the girlfriend, although it was fine, takes just a little too much focus away from Jan's relationship with his family, and as a result it feels like there's this missing segment between the first act and the third act that could have been used to develop Jan and his dad's relationship just a little bit further. Shout out to Jaimin Hansu, he is also really good in this. But that's a pretty minor complaint when you consider the amount of gear porn in Gran Turismo, something that's been sorely missing from movies lately. Overall, Gran Turismo is a solid movie that successfully blends the video game and sports underdog genres. It doesn't have a hidden agenda, it's not trying to virtue signal, it's really just doing its best to tell a compelling story while taking you on a cinematic joyride.